Good morning. So glad to have you on SOUQ Business Landscape.
Good morning. Talking about the VAT, I think Oyedele is talking about projection for VAT alone for next year.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see that they'll be able to, their projection is 4 trillion. This year, they exceeded most of their projections. So
Yes.
the major problem, as far as I'm concerned for Nigeria, is revenue problem.
Yeah.
Because I've not seen one single country where there's no corruption. I mean, it might be more from countries to country, but the most important thing is the money is not even enough. You compare our budgets with our population with other countries, is nothing to write home about.
Yeah.
So if we can fix our revenue problem, half of our problem is solved. Because with the budget that we have today, even if we hold all our leaders accountable and they make sure all the money is spent on what they're meant to spend for, budget per citizen is still very, very small. Some countries' budget per citizen is up to like $20,000 per citizen, meaning the money that the government will spend on each citizen is about $20,000. In Nigeria, budget per citizen is only about $150. So for the whole year. So imagine if what government wants to spend on each one of us is just $100 for the whole year, which is like maybe it's less than 300,000. Why in some countries their government has budget about that's our budget per citizen. So and we for the whole year, and budget per citizen for countries like the US like $20,000.
Yes.
So like the US is prepared to spend about 45 million naira on each of its citizens for health, for education, for all of these things. So like I say, so it's difficult. So even if they are not stealing the money, we are not going anywhere with that very small budget. So we need to fix our revenue problem and hold our leaders accountable and elect good leaders too, because there are some of these leaders that are not corrupt, but lack of ideas and initiative. So the little they get, they are not able to prioritize what is best and what's most important for their citizens. They just do. Almost every state is building a flyover. Even states with 2 million population where there's no traffic, they are building flyover just because they come to Lagos, there's flyover and they think it's beautiful, and they are building flyover where schools are dilapidated. Primary healthcare is nothing to write home about. So we need to be able to prioritize and use judiciously the little resources that we have.
All right. So, Muktar Aminu, the current VAT right now is 7.5. So, and when people hear VAT, it's not, people don't smile. So I'm wondering, how will these reforms affect the consumer, the end consumers, and small businesses who are still struggling with multiple taxes?
So one of the major cornerstone for this tax reform is to reduce multiple taxation, one, and secondly, to make effective collection as well. So one of the ways there's multiple taxation is local government is taxing the same thing, state government is taxing, federal government is taxing. So now they want to have a unified collection. That is why they are setting up an entire new agency to collect and then share at the end of the year. So if this is put in place, if it's in full swing next year, I don't expect us to see multiple taxation, because this is one of the major problems that is meant to fix, and get more revenue and edge out multiple taxation. So we are meant to see that, and I believe it's going to work, because I've watched Oyedele several of his forums and on several TV stations. He knows what he's doing. He has faced so many debates, especially in the Senate. He was and with the Governors Forum. So, and he's been able to push this bill to to fruition. So the implementation, I hope, is able to do it, and multiple taxation will be something of the past in Nigeria. I believe so.
So I also want to ask, do you really think that with this 4 trillion naira allocation, increased allocation to states would depend less on federal government or on Abuja?
If states don't look inward, they would not be able to not depend on the federal government. Is a given, is standard. In Lagos, for example, local government like Ikeja make more internal generated revenue than about 10 states in the north in Nigeria. So, and that's because they've mastered the system at which they generate their revenue, and is very, very effective. So while other states, they don't tax, because we're on the sentiment that, oh, people are suffering. And the concept of government and taxation is redistribution of wealth. That's just it. It means if everybody is suffering and somebody has been able to make 1 million, okay, give us some of your 1 million. Let's give the people that is making 1,000. That's the concept of taxation.
Yeah.
So it's just redistribution of wealth. So, but I understand the trust deficit where people pay tax and we don't see where the money is going. And in some states like Lagos, is something of the past. Nobody in Lagos paying tax and say they don't see where their tax money is going to from security. Lagos is supposed to be the most unsecured place in Nigeria. As it is now, Lagos is the most secured state in Nigeria, and it's not coincident. We've seen the investments in security in Nigeria. Do you know that in Lagos, do you know that in Lagos, they give extra stipend to all the policemen serving in Lagos? They equip the Nigerian police, which is the job of the federal government.
It's a model state, so we understand.
Yeah. Equipment. Lagos is the only state that's bought an helicopter for the police force here, and so many other equipment, from bulletproof to arm helmets, motorcycles, cars, and beyond that, they complement them with the neighborhood watch, with the LASMA. So to make their job easier. So rather than deploying police to help traffic, which we see in other states, they tell them that in most cases, just face security. LASMA will face traffic, because they are traffic police. They are supposed to be traffic police. And then there is neighborhood watch in every neighborhood in Lagos, taking information. They are like the undercover. So they just employ people from every neighborhood that understand the neighborhood. And your job is just to collect information and report to the police. So when there's a young man joining the fraternity, or there's a crime within the area where police is finding investigation difficult because civilians don't trust the police to talk to them, the neighborhood watch get this information and they tell the police. That's why things will happen in your neighborhood and you're surprised how police is coming the following day to come and arrest the exact person. It's because neighborhood watch has gotten information and shared with the police. So these are some of the ways Lagos State is spending the tax money to help the people of Lagos. And other states can do that too. We cannot run away from taxation. Nigerians don't like to hear, like the gentleman in the studio is saying, we don't like to hear it. And that's because of the trust deficits. So the more governments continue to prioritize their investments in our life, do invest in projects that positively affect the most number of us, because that's the job of the government. Government are supposed to make policies that affect the highest number of people, not some certain class of people. And that is what we see now. You go to the rural communities or the communities of the low income earners, the roads are terrible. It's not motorable. And then you go to some neighborhood where the elite stays, and you see them fixing roads that are not even bad. We've seen that debate. Yeah, we've seen that debate in Lagos that almost every year you go to Ikoyi, the road is being fixed in Lagos. And in Abuja, Asokoro, Maitama, almost every year the road is being fixed. And you now see some other neighborhood, they've not even had motorable roads in years. So government should continue to prioritize projects and policies that affect the most number of us, which is primary healthcare, infrastructures, education, and what have we? And people can be encouraged to pay their taxes, their fair share.
All right, thank you very much.
Muktar, I'm still staying on it, right? Because I know you did say Nigeria has a revenue problem. And I agree with you almost 100%. But I like to always ask that Nigeria also has a spending problem. Because just like you said, when you have the money and then you don't use it for things that is going to help the larger population, it means you didn't spend the money well. So imagine that. I think that's why many people have this fear. If we now pay and then we increase the tax net, you now share the monies to the subnationals, which are the states, and they don't now use it to do or to make more money, because that's how I put it. When you use money to make more money, then they will definitely have to go back to Abuja to go and collect their VAT. But when we talk about the budgeting of each of these subnationals, I think that is also where the problem is. For example, I think Lagos, if I'm about to be mistaken, but I think Lagos is the only state that does over a trillion for its budget for a year. Others are still
Lagos, Rivers, and Abuja.
So I think there are not even so many. In a country that has 36 states, it also tells you that when somebody is pegging its own at 300 billion or whatever it is, it's couching the fact that half of that money is going to have to come from outside. How do we now make these states realize that we don't want to depend on the federal government anymore? Look inwards. Because many of these states, if not all of them, have natural resources that they can trade.
I agree with you. Every state has the natural resources buried in the ground. And even though natural resources is within the purview of the federal government.
Yes.
So, but it is the job of the governors to make this happen. I'll give you an example. Nasarawa State now, this year alone, has closed a deal of $300 million. $100 million is going to industrial agriculture, and $200 million is going into lithium processing. Their lithium processing plants now produces 10,000 tons of lithium every day. And that's jobs. So even if that is 20,000 jobs, look at the payee that is coming to you at the end of the month. Look at the communities they are putting these infrastructures. Look at the ripple effect. Because if you employ 20,000 people somewhere, they will want to live in a place. They want to rent houses. That is real estate money.
Yes.
They will want to feed. Those are restaurants. Those are, market women selling more food stuff. Yes. So we need to bring, and every state has in Osun State, there is a gold plant there. The project was done by the past administration, I think the Oyetola administration. I don't know how well it's going now, because that's another problem in Nigeria. Once an administration brings something and an opposition comes into power, they try to frustrate it. They try to make the life of the investors unbearable till they leave. So I don't know the states at which that is. There's another gold plant in Kaduna State done by Malam El-Rufai, the past governor of that state. I don't know the state that it is, but both gold plants have not been in the news in a while, and I hope that they are functioning well. So these are some of the problems that we see. A state that does not have money, you have an investment, you are trying to frustrate it just because it's an initiative of the past administration. In Kwara State, the last administration brought Dangote. By now, Dangote sold They had a flour mill in Kwara State. They had to sell it to another company and leave Kwara State. And BUA to come. BUA has come, but what happens? We're having Olam, BUA, and Dangote all in the state with favorable incentive and conditions. But Nigerian governors are vindictive. A lot of them are vindictive, no matter how much they're generating from any project. If it is not started by them, they frustrate it. The same thing with infrastructure. A governor can come invest 10 trillion on an infrastructure. The next governor comes, he abandons it, and that is tax money just wasting there. The project is not completed. Nobody, even the people on the job that are contracted to do the job, they lose the job because contracts, projects are temporary employment for some people too. You grind them to halt. Now the money is just there. Imagine investing money on your personal house and you leave it when it's almost completed. So he's like tying money down and then he starts dilapidating. The first state that is meant to have a monorail in this country is River State. Amechi started the monorail. I've been to Port Harcourt, I've seen the rails. I think he just needed to buy the coaches and for the rail to start working. 8 years of Wike is abandoned. Now, Fubara spent 2 years. He's still there. It's only scrap metal people that are going to the rail to lose the metal to sell. And this is tax money of people of River State invested in this, left there to rotting. So those are the problems that we have. And another thing I admire about Lagos is community meetings that they do regularly. They go to every local government with the governor and his commissioners regularly to speak to the people, to say, okay, this is our plan for you for this quarter. The governor will explain, the community will ask, why is this important? The commissioner will explain and how the number of months is going to take for them to execute. And then the people will tell them what they want. To say, okay, Mr. Governor, we've heard you. This is what you want to do for us. We like it. We appreciate it. Okay, this is our plight. Our schools are bad. We need more teachers. We need, in fact, they even fight for the people with disability to say, okay, this hospital has no entrance for people with disabilities. Can you fix that? We need a mini stadium. We need this. And I've watched these live sessions where the governor will say, okay, this, consider it done. Mr. Commissioner, take note. We have to put it in our supplementary budget. This, it will have to wait next year. Maybe we'll come to it. This, we'll do it. We'll add it. That is the way governance is supposed to be, not a leader and follow. I mean, not a master and slave relationship where the governor just come and just say, okay, this is what I'm spending money on, not caring what the people want. You have to do something that you feel, okay, this is what my people need. And you have to ask them directly, what do you want? What is the most pressing problem that you have? And then bring it together and serve the people, because it's our money. The only reason why you are getting FAC allocation is because of the citizens. The only reason why we are paying tax into your care is because we trust that you will distribute it and spend it for us judiciously. So we are no longer in the military government. These governors needs to be accountable to us. They have to listen to us and, spend this money like it's our money, not their money. So these days, we see us thanking governors for doing the basic because it's almost like we are captured. So whatever they give us, we take. So, I mean, there's so much.
Thank you very much, Muktar Aminu. Let's move on to our next story. Now, the federal government has urged Nigeria's 36 states to take full responsibility for power generation, transmission, and distribution, describing it as the only viable solution to the country's prolonged electricity crisis. Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu made the call in Lagos on Tuesday at the Nigeria Energy Leadership Summit Now, he said decentralizing the sector would allow states to develop energy solutions tailored to their local needs rather than relying solely on the national grid. Despite decades of reforms and investment, Nigeria's power sector continues to underperform, with millions of citizens still lacking reliable electricity. Adelabu said the current structure has failed, stressing that the state must now rise to the challenge to drive energy access and development. Quite interesting. You know, this is something, I mean, it's like an old record playing.
Yeah, because I remember my first ever visit to Osun State. And I saw what looks like a dam. I'm sorry, I'd never gone into that house. I was surprised to see something like that. So I started making inquiries in the vehicle I was in. And like, this is where they generate power. Like, they generate power, how come they usually have lights in this place? So I think it was somewhere around, I can't remember the name again in that town. And they usually have power there. But the thing is, every power that is generated here goes to Abuja. Or goes to like a central place where it is now shared again. And I'm like, why do we have to do that? I remember even Lagos State at some point wanted to generate their own power. And one of the clauses is whatever you generate has to still go to a central place before it is now shared again. I'm like, what kind of arrangement? They say it's in the law. Okay, cool. But having to fall back to this literally makes sense. Because look, I know one of the things Fashola said there when he was Minister of Power was, the problem was not necessarily in the generating. It's in the distribution, because it's not like water when you pump water and then water stays in a storage tank. Electricity has to move. So when you generate it and there's no proper channels to distribute it, what do you do with it? It's just there and it's just literally wasted. So, but now having each state, it just goes back to what we're doing about taxes, raising your own money. If you can generate your own power, create your pipelines where every corner of your state can promptly, as you generate it, get the light or get the electricity as it is. I think it solves a lot of the problems, because look, we know the topography of many states are not the same. Because maybe we are closer to the water, we can also add, hydro part of it. The ones that have more, maybe up north where there's more sunlight, they can add solar part to it. The thing is, it makes people more creative. Most states are creative in ways to solve problems like rather than them all depending in a central place. It's just like the same thing with the taxes and the whole FAAC sharing of money. Because when you know that there's somebody giving handouts somewhere, the idea to want to think outside the box will just even die off.
I agree with you, because this also brings, encourages innovation. States may try, like you said, solar, hydro, and any other thing. Then it also brings about accountability. There's this mentality that people have, that something that is of our own state, something that is our own, we guard it better, and something that is from Abuja. When people know that, this thing, it is for Lagos, it's for Ibadan, it's for Oyo, it's for Ogun, it's our own, it's built by our governor, the governor we love. People would tend to look after it. It would also read vandalism.
True, very true, because everybody's not protecting the infrastructure, belongs to us. When you use our money to create these things and there's somebody from somewhere, unless that person is an outsider coming in, anybody in that community, if you take this thing or vandalize it, all of us here will now be black. They will have blackouts. No, nobody will want to try that one.
And also, states, depending on the economic challenge in your particular state, you can decide to subsidize. This case of a particular state saying that they were going to reduce tariff of electricity, and in this case we're saying, no, you cannot. But if states can generate their power, they can decide that, okay, for our state, let's give them 20%, discount.
Good shout out to Lagos, Edo, I think, then Kaduna. We are the ones that have IPP and mini grids. It shows that we were even ready. We're thinking for, so when the government now comes and says this, we are prepared. These states are prepared, but it's still 3 out of 36. You see how much, the thing is, when I see these numbers, I always like, so wait, somebody will stay, and you say you're a state, and then there are so many things happening around you, and you're not even plugged into it. Taxes, you're not there, electricity, you're not there, and you want us to grow together in the same projection as one Nigeria. Whereas the states are not even viable. And somebody is still talking about creating more states in this kind of... No. We can do better. I think we can do better.
All right, let's bring in, Muktar. This is it's a good one if states start to generate power for themselves. It would also boost economic activity in that particular state. Accountability is also there. States can try different options. Hydro, solar, whatever works for them. What's your thought on this?
Yeah, it's supposed to be joint if the American structure of the power generation and distribution is every the federal government, the states and the municipal, they have their roles that they play. So the federal government handles the wholesale and the state to state generation and distribution, but the states, like the gentleman in the studio is saying, the state is in charge of the retail, the fixing the price, and the state will decide if there is going to be monopoly with the distribution. So if they are going to decide if it's going to be only one company that is distributing or there is going to be monopoly. Like in Lagos now, there are two companies, which is the Eco Distribution, and then there's the
Ikeja.
Ikeja Distribution. Thank you.
Yes.
So that is the state's job to decide if, okay, we want to make it 3, 4 companies, 2 companies, because of the size of the states for proper distribution. The state will be in charge of metering because it's the state that knows all the looks and cranny of everywhere, all the streets, So it has to be joint, a joint relationship for effectiveness. And this, we cannot really blame the states yet, because it was just 2 years ago, less than 2 years, that sector was deregulated, where they say every players can come in, even the private sector, just like in the US. If you have money, you can build your power plants and supply and say, this is the rate I want to sell my power. Is the job of the state to now say, okay, we want to put a markup and make profit on it, or we want to put a discount for our people to pay lesser than how much you want to sell your power. And that is why in Abia State, there is uninterrupted power. The power they are enjoying is not done by the state government. It is done by Geometry, a private company. And because of the new policy that deregulated that sector, the power sector, that can come to fruition. The project was started during Jonathan because the Minister for Power at the time was pushing for deregulation of the power sector. And he encouraged Geometry to start the project, and he promised them that, okay, before you complete this project, we'll get the constitution amended and you'll be able to come upstream. But unfortunately, Jonathan lost the election and the bill could not be passed. So the project was abandoned throughout the time of the late president Muhammadu Buhari, and Tinubu came in, looked at the bill, passed it, and Geometry come upstream, and we've seen how effective it is. Aba, which is like a major part of Abia State, they are enjoying uninterrupted power. So that is, so we expect other states to jump on it. But like I said, state governments in Nigeria, they don't prioritize what the people need. They just, even though with the opportunity, and even when states cannot generate power, we've seen states like Lagos State. Lagos State, under Governor Tinubu, now President Tinubu, built so many power plants and mini grids during his time as governor. But the law at that time, the constitution says, once you generate, you have to feed to national grid. So Lagos State cannot really enjoy the power plant their government is building at the time. I remember Kwara State as well, during the time of the past Senate President, Bukola Saraki. He built power plants too, but he has to feed it to the national grid to the point that the immediate community where this power plant is located, they can't enjoy the power. And I know the complaint then is, so what's the point of putting a power plant that is always making noise here, that is making sound, and we don't have on it? Yeah, the people complain because if you've been near a power plant, it makes a very huge kind of sound. Like, so what's this point that we have this sound and we don't even have this power? So, but now state governments are not doing this. The state government, I will allegedly say, all of them wants to build bridges because bridges are the project that runs into billions and it's easy to get kickbacks, allegedly. So they are not prioritizing what people really want. And if you fix power, there goes industrialization. With industrialization, you see your IGR go high. So even if you are bringing an industry and you say you are not paying taxes or your corporate taxes for 20 years, like what is happening in the free trade zone, what about the payee? Then you can't imagine how much payee is coming into Lagos State from that free trade zone, companies in free trade zone. If you go there, the place is all filled up. There's Power Oil. There's so many brands there. I don't want to mention brands on the TV. There are so many companies there. So look at their stats. Look at the pay they are paying. So states can do this. Look at what the investors, what do they want? They want power and they want incentives. That is why everybody is rushing to Lagos. All the factories, Lagos is the smallest state by landmass, and everybody is going there. So states that wants to better the lives of their people, wants to increase their revenue, they have to invest in power. The Constitution has permitted you to do that. And it's been 2 years, the states are not moving. So now Adelabu, the Minister for Power, is bringing the ball on their table like, okay, we've put it for you there. You're acting like you cannot see it. So now it is your responsibility. Generate power for your people. And it's not alien. Nigeria is not going to be the first. All the countries in the world with our size of population, that is the model. That is how it can work effectively. Look at our land mass. Look at our population. We cannot make that a responsibility of one man. Let's even imagine manning all the power infrastructures. How can Adilabu possibly do that alone from his office in Abuja and with his staffs to man all of that? It is the state that has the power to do that. So Adelabu's job is to bring investors into the sector. We will still need that to build more power plants, to diversify our power sources. Now, to oversee deals state to state, meaning if Lagos State now generates more power than they need, Adelabu will oversee how Lagos wants to feed the neighboring states that share border with them, the Ogun State, the Ondo states, to say, okay, this is how it's going to go. This is as big as America is. Some part of New York, which is the biggest city in America, gets their light from Canada, not even from another state in America, from Canada, from overseas. Nigeria too supplies power to some neighboring countries like Niger Republic and I think Chad. So that will be Adelabu's job, to deal with all of those, to oversee, to see policies, to diversify our energy sources, to see, okay, how can we bring in solar? How can we bring in coal-generated electricity? How can we bring windmill? Because some part of just research has proven that we can have wind power generation from those that will be Adelabu's job, not how me and you get electricity in our own houses. It's almost like the constitution that we are using is almost like is a constitution that just gives the governor so much money with little or no responsibility. If we look at it, almost every important part of our life is part of the exclusive list, which is the responsibility of the federal government. So we need to continue to deregulate our economy and the power structure so that responsibilities can be well shared and we can see effectiveness in the implementation. And so me and you can enjoy our sovereign wealth and our tax money.